English adapted scripts for characters that I've gone on to play. And so one of my most personal and in some ways really devastating experiences was working on Steins Gate. It was hell on earth in many ways, but it was great because I think what we wound up making out of the English dub was something really, really special, and I'm very, very proud of it. So let me discuss that a little bit, because for those of you that have seen the series, you'll understand what I'm talking about. But so you understand, when I started writing the adaptive scripts, along with Patrick Seitz, who most of you probably know is Germany. He's a dear friend of mine. He's also a sublime writer. So, and both of us were just ready-made fans for Steins Gate. When it came down the wire, we're like, oh, please. And we worked on it. We figured this is a show we could really pull out all the stops and take, make all the nerd references, use all the big words, make all the overarching references. It was super, super cool, and we would call each other on the phone to discuss how we wanted to work this character, how we wanted to handle this particular moment in this particular episode as writers. And every time we'd get on the phone and become like 12-year-old fangirls. And Patrick is very deep voice. Here's going for the hey, so this episode. Oh my God, right? and before this was the adaptive process usually works. The timeline is, generally, the first 4 episodes are adapted in script form before recording is done. So they base the audition sides off of the first 4 scripts. And then once the show is cast, there's a good deal of overlap. The rest of the show is adapted while the first part of the show is recorded, and so on. And it's staggered until finally we're done and there's no recording left. But there's a lot of overlap, and there's months of overlap. And so when I was working on the show as a writer, I didn't know that I'd be playing Okabe. In fact, at many times, it would happen once I was cast later as Okabe, I would go home and write and forget that I was Okabe, the actor playing him, and write a piece of dialogue and be like, how do you not envy the poor bastard has to breathe like with this shit? And I would go, and because for those of you that don't know, it's a very time travel heavy show, and it's very, very real, and the same scenes come up again and again from different angles because everything's slightly different. It's complicated, timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly. And it kind of deals very much with the psychological effects of having to live in that reality where things are constantly different, and you may be the only person that remembers a different timeline. And it starts very funny, and about halfway through, the show gets very raw and emotional and very dark. It's one of the most realistic handlings of that kind of sci-fi setting that I've ever seen in any kind of film or television series, animated or otherwise. So I was really into it. And as an actor, and a writer, I would come back, time travel, it felt like I was really time traveling, because I was like, wait, I've seen this before. Oh, I wrote this and acted it out in my room, at home, and now I'm acting it out. Well, there's a scene, and I don't want to give anything away because it does hinge on revelations throughout the show. Suffice to say, about episode 12 is one of the most amazing cliffhangers I've ever encountered.
Yes.
I was my then boyfriend, who was also a very big Doctor Who fan from the old school days, so we knew from cliffhangers. Thank you very much. I kept telling him, the first 12 episodes are out now, but the last 12 won't be out for another couple of months. So once you see the episode 12, you're going to hate me. You sure you don't want to just wait and watch it all together once we have the whole thing, because you're really going to hate me. And he had seen me kind of working on the show as a writer, so he had a rough idea where it was going. And yet, episode 12, I thought, let's just watch it. I'll wait a couple months for the rest of it. It's fine. I know from cliffhangers, Doctor Who fan, hello. So I'm sitting there and we're watching this. Episode 12 ends, and he turns to me and goes, "Fuck you." Leaves the room, comes back, tears in his eyes. "No, seriously, fuck you. Why would you do that to people?" I'm like, in episode 13, which follows that, is a scene that is one of those moments as an actor where I had been Okabe, for so long. I mean, there was no getting away from him, because we're talking 8-hour booth days, and then I'd come home and spend 4 to 5 hours writing a script for him. And Okabe talks constantly, like he's the main character, and that I think there's only 2 moments in the entire series in which he is not present. Everything else is told from his perspective, and it necessarily has to be. So he carries it, and it's just devastating. And there's a scene in episode 13, which, again, without giving too much away, let's just say that he's revisiting a moment that he knows bad things are going to happen, and he's basically
panicking?
What?
Panicking?
No. He's panicking in a way, but he's doing that thing. He's basically pleading for the life of his best friend at peril to his own. And it's such a real moment, because up till then, he's been kind of an arrogant bastard, and he's a lovable, over-the-top guy. He's like, "I'm a mad scientist, and I'm going to take over the world, ha 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 ha." And then when things get real, you suddenly understand that's all just a coping mechanism he uses because he can't deal with the real world. You know, he's not good with people. He doesn't have a lot of faith in himself. He's just an awkward kid. And now he has to be real because it's the only shot he's got at trying to save his friend. And he's like gone from being a mad scientist over to the top, like screw all of you, I'm smarter than you, to I'm shit, I'm nothing. He's just going through this horrible thing. And he's crying and he's screaming and it just, oh. And when I was crying when I wrote the adaptation because the original Say's performance is so compelling. And when I had to record it a few weeks later, I just had this moment in the booth where I had not been able to get that necessary emotional distance from the character because I was constantly writing or playing him, day after day, week after week. So we're in the scene and it just takes over. And that very crucial line you have to have as an actor between the character you're playing and your sense of identity, bless you, suddenly just was obliterated. And I became him in this weird way and I started crying and screaming and I couldn't stop. And Colleen Clinton-Beard, my dear friend, who's the show's wonderful director, said, you step out for a few moments and splash some water in your face because this is getting too real for you and I've never seen you like this. We've worked together for years and this is we want Michael. So I come out and I splash some water on my face and drink some water and walk around the building for a little bit and people are looking at me, oh, hey. And finally ready to go back in the booth and record all that scene again and I'm like, okay, let's just get it the hell over with because I can't do another one of these. And I walk in and she's like, good news, everything you did worked. So if you're okay with everyone knowing exactly what you sound like having a mental breakdown, we're using it. I'm like, use it, please, I don't want to do it again. So, if you want to hear J. Michael Tatum have an absolute mental breakdown in the booth, episode 13, in the backseat of that car is real.
An amazing scene, one of the best scenes I've seen in anime.
Yeah, thank you. I can't watch it anymore. Every time it's on, like, leaving the room now.
Oh, my minutes over.
About 10 minutes?
Yep.
10 minutes. All right. 10 minutes. So I'm going to do kind of a